force. Just a couple of things to say about the St. Clair Mall. Of course, it's used, well, St. Clair Street, I guess, but it is sometimes used for pedestrians during festivals and things like that. When you close that off, it's going to impact the parking there. Depending on the event, we'll have to make sure that everybody is, cleared out, because if you close the street for pedestrians and somebody's parked there, they'll want to drive right through the middle of it, get out of there. So, it's just something to think about. But other than that, whatever you decide, but I certainly prefer the 2 hour to the 15 minute.
Okay, thanks, John. Thank you. Yeah. Chief of Posse, do you have any comments you want to say to this? Yes.
When John called me about this a week or two ago and proposed or wanted my take on allowing 15-minute loading and unloading spaces, if I recall, what we talked about at the time was 3 or 4 spaces, possibly. My concern, and as Jeff has said, this has come up before several times. My concern is, should we have another devastating fire like we had there before, and I have to set up 2 or 3 aerial trucks with the spaces with 1/3 of the entire street width taken up, I don't have enough space to put my outriggers out to raise the ladder trucks. For instance, one truck requires 16.5 feet of space side to side to put the outriggers up to be able to safely raise the ladder. Another truck requires 22 feet of space. So if I've got actually 22 and 3 inches. So if I have cars taking up any portion of what I now have is 21 feet, I may not be able to put a truck where I need it. Conceptually, what I told Mr. Gray was, if we had 3 or 4 spaces, I could probably live with that, knowing that we could, in most cases, go either before or after the cars that were parked there in 3 or 4 spaces. But if the entire street was lined with cars, that's a concern. Am I making sense to you? Follow what I'm saying?
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you suggesting that obviously you're saying 1 loading zone would be better than none?
Yes.
And it's not, and I guess you're saying that from your perspective 2 would be better than 1.
Either 2 loading zones, or rather than creating 8 2-hour parking spaces, maybe create half of that, 4 or 5 parking spaces, to give me some spaces between vehicles should I have to maneuver a truck a little forward or a little backward to get outriggers in between the cars. And let's face it, if patrons are parked there, they may be 3 blocks down Main Street. We can't find them and say, could you move your car? We've got to set up just like this. So that's my only concern. Conceptually, I'm not opposed to installing some additional parking. My only concern is being able to fight fire should we need it again.
And when we talked, I think that's why we put the loading zone in there. So you have the cutouts to place the fire truck, and then up here to place the fire truck.
Right. So if we had some staggered spaces, for instance, maybe 2 parking spaces in here, 2 parking spaces in here, a loading zone, and another couple here, I would have no real issue with that. But I'm not really in favor of having the entire street lined with parking on one side.
But if push came to shove, you could live with. If push came to shove, you could live with, a loading zone here-ish, a loading zone there.
Yes.
Or, as in, this is obviously established. Okay.
I think, Mr. Gray, both of these are reasonable plans to address. I know what is the growing need in downtown Frankfort with parking. And both of which seem like they would work if implemented. But I have to say that I learned something growing up in this community, that before making any decisions with regards to downtown and specifically St. Clair, that there has, we as a city commission, and almost why our city manager felt the sense of urgency to bring this from the traffic committee to the commission, is because of the sensitivity of St. Clair. I've learned that when dealing with St. Clair, it's best to seek public advice, public thought on any changes that might be made to St. Clair Street. Again, I think these are reasonable proposals. I'm not sure what the Streetscape Committee would think about this, that was formed a number of years ago. But I just would like to caution the rest of this commission before making an immediate decision on this. Any changes to St. Clair have been known to make big news before, and I would just be cautious about moving forward immediately without having a chance to hear more from downtown Frankfort as they consider this proposal, as well as other residents and property owners and business owners in the area.
Well, I guess I would just ask, procedurally, downtown Frankfort Inc. has always been a place where money is dying. Bring it to our committee, you bring it to their committee, and that's the last you ever hear of it. Also, people talk in terms of stakeholders, as if that's a meaning, but are you saying that somebody that lives out, some resident that lives out wherever, what they think matters more than what a property owner or a business owner on St. Clair that's actually trying to, that's got a real investment in it? I guess I've never understood that. That's how we ended up with what we've got now. It was a compromise between those people, those business owners and property owners on St. Clair that wanted to see St. Clair return to the way it was, 2 lanes of traffic with parallel parking on either side. It was a compromise between those people and the people that didn't want to see anything happen to St. Clair. And so what the people in charge back then said is, well, rather than do what we think is the right thing, we'll just compromise. And we'll put 1 lane of traffic in, which should satisfy the people that want traffic. And we'll widen the sidewalks and put in planning, which should satisfy the people that want to see St. Clair remain as sort of a green space. And what we ended up with is something that doesn't work at all.
Well, I agree that there are stakeholders, Mr. Gray, but people who fund those businesses and allow those businesses to survive down there are the people who live out throughout this community that pay taxes for the public money that would be involved in any type of change downtown. And they certainly have a say in that because it is a public street. And while the business owners and property owners certainly have a stake in what goes on downtown, so does the entire community, because this is their city, just like it's your city, just like it's Commissioner May's city, my city. We all have a right to our opinion of any changes that we make downtown, and I don't think we should hold anybody's particular opinion higher than the other. Now, I do take advice from business and property owners down there, just like I would take advice from somebody who visits down there frequently and is a customer down there frequently who may live in Indian Hills. So as a city commissioner, I understand your perspective as a property owner downtown. As a city commissioner, I represent the entire city and have to take other people's opinions and stuff into consideration as I make a decision on whether to move forward or not. But I do think that this is a reasonable plan. I just am cautioning this commission to not jump into it too quickly because there may be other opinions out there that people may want to voice their concerns or voice their support for it. So, thank you.
Which one?
I see where everybody's coming from on this. I've talked to, I've had my ear to the ground downtown for a few years now. I spent a lot of time hanging out down there. And the most consistent criticism I hear about downtown from both people who work downtown, people who live downtown, and people who choose not to come downtown. The most consistent criticism I hear is the lack of parking. I mean, has anybody heard any more consistent criticism than that? So I feel pretty confident that that's somehow or another taking some steps to address that is a high priority for the folks who work there, for the folks who live there, and for the folks who don't come down there because of the lack of parking. Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we could, draft an order or something to get on an agenda for one of our next 2 voting meetings. As in, go ahead and take steps that allow time for public comment, discourse. I'm sure you understand that, and I don't know who they are, but I'm sure you understand that folks are going to have some problems with this. I don't know who, but somebody might. I mean, and that's just your dream you have, but we know. But give folks time to come forward if they do have any concerns. I suspect that most folks will be happy to see us addressing parking concerns. And I expect we could do this in a way that would satisfy our city administrators, you know, in terms of easements and access. Please.
I'm very sensitive also to owners, and I'm also sensitive to downtown Frankfort. And you say you have a board meeting coming up?
We recently had one, and one of the things that did come up is that parking continues to be an issue. And we would welcome an opportunity to work with Mr. Gray and support this plan if in fact our members, many of whom are business owners and property owners, would be in favor of it. And I do think there's some terrific ideas here and very reasonable things. And I would love the opportunity to take that to our organization and build support.
Mr. Gray, would you be amenable to what you said? Maybe come, I mean, I don't know all the, I don't know all the dynamics that goes on between groups.
Well, I'm
just trying to see this.
I'm a member of downtown Frankfort, and I would, I would love their support.
Yeah. Okay.
But if they don't support it,
I understand.
This is still a good idea.
That would be an attempt. If we get an attempt, I think if we go forward with pretty much going in the same direction, then that would head off any kind of maybe issues that have already passed or something, so to speak. And also, of course, I'm very sensitive to the fact that nothing's been done yet to the parking garage. See, that is, and I would say that now, that is, in my opinion, that's the number one thing that we need to deal with. I mean, some kind of resolution to that, whatever the resolution may be. But that's something that needs to be resolved, and I think we're all aware of that, and we'd like to have something that could happen sometime. But anyway, if we could have an agreement, they like to invite you there, you come and make a presentation, I think it helped me, and I make my decisions. I don't have a risk commission feels. If that, then we could have another discussion, as Commissioner Waller said, suggested something, put it on the agenda, come back here.
I'm happy to go ahead and vote on it at this rescheduled December voting meeting. That allows a little, that implies about a month.
In my opinion, I would like to wait a while. I'd like to see for y'all to have a chance. That's my personal opinion. So whatever the commission wants to do, I'm amenable to that.
And we're going to get a report from our staff also.
Yes, right, absolutely. There's more involved. We'd like to get a conference.
If I could also say, this could be looked on as sort of an experiment, because it's not going to be that expensive to stripe the street and put up a couple of signs. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But it's certainly worth a try, I think. Especially this time of the year, because there aren't going to be any concerts. There's not going to be any sidewalk cafe dining for the next 6 months. But it is an important time for the businesses and the property owners and so forth.
So whatever I go within you guys, I've stated my opinion, but whatever you want to do.
I don't mind seeing this in the draft. The only point I'm trying to make is that I just feel like that I need to hear more back from people. And the fact that it wasn't, I can understand any issue bringing it to downtown Frankfort, but I mean, you're talking about changing a traffic pattern here in terms of the parking on St. Clair Street. And to me, I know that, as Commissioner Waller said, I've been downtown, I worked downtown for a number of years, lived in Kentucky and so forth, but parking is a major issue, and is probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest issues in downtown and that downtown basis. But I can't just come into a meeting, get this proposal here and say, oh, okay, let's go ahead and change it. That wouldn't be responsible, at least in my perspective, on my part to do that so quickly, because then I haven't taken into consideration all the other alternatives or issues that may be related to that. So while I certainly certainly am willing to support this in the future, at this point, I need to seek a little more input from other people in the area, and particularly downtown Frankfort, like their thoughts are on it as well. But it is a very reasonable proposal. I do think it can work downtown. I just want to get a little more input.
Can I make 3 specific requests?
Pardon me?
Can I make some specific requests? Nobody, are you all going to have an opportunity to discuss this as a board within the next month?
I can see about that. Between now and the next meeting that you were talking about on the 19th, we do not have another board meeting, but I can contact them and see if there's another way to approach that.
Can we, would it be possible, you produced this, yes, no?
Yes, I did.
You don't have a digital copy, do you?
I know, but it can be scanned.
Would you have an additional copy?
Oh, yeah.
But at the very least, Britton could share this with the board without necessarily calling a meeting. I assume that any staff comments or reports could be assembled within the next month. You all have already put some thought into this. The other request was for John, actually. If there's, if you want to collect any signatures from other folks who support this, that's something we should take into account too. The more people we get on the record on every side of this, the more informed a decision we can make.
So when would you like us to be addressing this next?
What did you say?
When would you like for us to be addressing this next? When would you like for me to come back with all of the information you're asking me to garner?
Well, I was asking if you think a month is an adequate amount of time. Yeah, I guess you don't.
I can try, given that it's the holidays, it does get a little crazy, so. But there's a particular time you have in mind.
Good enough. I was wondering how much time you thought you needed.
Let me contact my board and I'll let you know. Is that
Why don't you be in touch with city manager? Work with him, how about that? Is it okay for you all?
That's great.
Yes.
Okay.
But in terms of a timeline, that Commissioner Wilder was saying, a month or 2 months, that's not a big deal to me. I just want to have a little more time to get us in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Toward the end of the last meeting, we had a lengthy discussion of the proposed garbage ordinance, and we had that discussion continued today.
Okay. We have the ordinance before us. We had discussed. I know where I stand on the issue. When we move forward with this, of course, we need adequate support for doing that, what have you. So I'm open for any kind of comment anyone would like to have. Commissioner Turner.
Well, Mayor, I just get this conversation rolling, and that I guess over the past year that this commission has worked to find an innovative way that we can cut costs, or long-term costs for our solid waste collection system. Quite a number of hours have gone into this, not only for commissioners, but and especially staff, who have worked extremely hard on developing the details of this proposal. I am in support of this proposal. I feel that from a long-term perspective, we can talk about employment costs and tipping fee costs and so on and so on. We really can't control the employment costs. I mean, we can cut down the number of staff that we have, but as the community grows, that's just you're going to often need more staff. Really, and Steve would probably agree with this, but the real driving force for employment costs are contributions to the county employment retirement system and health insurance. And so we absolutely can't control what we send to the retirement system as a state mandated percentage. We have attempted to try to bring down the long-term cost curve for our health insurance premiums, and only time will tell how that works out. So from an employment cost, there's not much we can do. Going automated will help that significantly, but beyond that, there's not much we can do. The costs that we can control are what we're paying in tipping fees, as well as the revenue that we're receiving from recycling. And this program absolutely does that. It does control the long-term costs of tipping fees, and we saw quite a substantial increase or projected increase in recycling revenue. I think it's a good plan. I think it's an easy plan. And it gives people the ability to control how much they pay for garbage. And it's not too often that in a proposal, particularly by government, that in terms of cutting costs, that not only are you able to cut long-term costs, but you're able to cut what people are paying right now. Usually, as we've seen through any other type of service that we see, I mean, we can look at the plant board, or we can look at other services provided throughout Commonwealth. As costs go up, or as people deal with plans to cut costs, a lot of times it has to do with increasing the revenue. And this proposal, essentially, in terms of from what we gather from a fee basis, is to cut the revenue in half. So I think that each commissioner here will, and I think we all know where we're at on it. I think each commissioner, makes their own decision, but I certainly will, certainly have and will continue to support this program and think that it's a step in the right direction. So I encourage my other commissioners to follow suit, but certainly understand that we each have our own thoughts and opinions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hayden, and then Commissioner Wilder. Who's next?
Reading over the ordinances, and maybe Robert, Jeff, you can help me. Is there anything, I didn't see anything written in regard to day after holiday pickup. So if the holiday falls on a Friday, but you're not getting picked up again until the following Tuesday. So people aren't getting fined on that matter.
What we have is the quarter day, if you look at once per quarter, which is, 5.02A, or 5.02B, once per quarter is scheduled by the Public Works Department, residential solid waste, placed in any suitable container or garbage bag would be picked up at no additional monthly charge. And the thought was that at least 2 of those quarterly payments would be, or quarterly pickups, one would be in the last quarter of the year, scheduled around Christmas, and then the next one would be scheduled shortly after the new year. That was, and then you'd have 2 other days.
You still have Memorial Day and 4th of July, and they're still fairly close to each other as well. I just don't want it to get understood that people will get fined after a holiday if, per se, you have a little extra trash because your trash came a day later or 2 days later.
Well, they would have 5 days. I guess the thought on the fine would be you would receive a notice, and then you'd have 5 days to correct whatever that notice was, if it wasn't set out correctly, before a fine would be.
Is there anything that we can maybe add, like you don't get fined $25 unless it's the day after a holiday? If your pickup's the day after a holiday? Do you see what I'm trying to say? Does it make?
I think I do.
So if my trash gets picked up on Friday, but the offices are closed on Friday, I have to wait until Monday or Tuesday for my trash to get picked up.
You probably have twice as much.
Which would give me Saturday, Sunday.
Come forward to
So that I wouldn't get fined on that following Monday, because I know how much trash I'm putting out right now, but if I had to wait another 3 days, I'm gonna have more trash. But yes, I understand we're getting 12 extra bags a year. But it's nobody's fault that the holiday came and I have more trash. So I wouldn't get a $25 fine for the Monday after a Friday holiday or the Tuesday after a Monday holiday.
Just to, if I could clarify, because I think I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, I don't think Katie's concern is with all holidays necessarily, just with those days that our trash doesn't get picked up because city offices are closed, which happens on many holidays, but not necessarily all.
Usually on Monday when we're off for the holiday.
Right. And somebody, and if we could clarify what way we do it now, because I'm not even entirely clear. If you don't pick up our trash on a Monday.
We don't pick it up.
Okay, right. Well, if you don't pick up our trash.
Well, that's skate trash.
Well, we said, I mean, you pick up South Frankfort, you pick up our trash on Friday mornings, pretty early. If you don't pick up our trash on a Friday because it's Thanksgiving or, well, it'll be Thanksgiving.
Memorial Day
or whatnot.
We don't get picked up till Tuesday.
The way we're starting to do it in the last 2-3 years is we actually do double run after the holiday.
Okay.
Like Thanksgiving this year, we'll be picking up Thursdays and Fridays right Monday, which I understand there's some extra days in there, but for the most part, like 4th of July last year, we always do a double run after that.
Is there any way that we could make just something that you wouldn't get a $25 fine if your trash is getting picked up the day following a holiday?
The only problem with that, I would see, was it would leave it wide open for them to put anything they want out that second day. You know, they could have they could clean their garage out, what have you, that might not have anything to do with their garbage pickup, the previous day before. So that's the only problem I would see with that.
Okay. What if it's a long weekend, like if you're the Friday pickup? You have to wait till...
I think I see exactly where you're both coming from, because they're making a good point too, in terms of that being a total free collection day. But other cities that have done this, and I think I hate to put Greg Butler on the spot, but you've worked in other communities that have similar collection systems.
That's correct.
Well, okay, if you want to speak forward and identify yourself.
Sorry, I know that's pretty unexpected.
Good afternoon, Gregory Butler, Franklin County. I have worked in communities that have similar pay-as-you-throw or variable rate payment schemes.
Am I correct in understanding that one way other communities deal with this problem is to just very matter-of-factly informally cut people slack?
Exactly. I would say that the two previous communities I've worked in that would do that. So the week following Christmas, you just take whatever trash is there. The communities I worked in did not have the subsequent bag program. We essentially just occasionally allowed it, and we would enforce the issue if this became a weekly type thing where there's always people abusing the system. It was pretty easy to identify those folks, and then you would initiate contact and go through that. Does that answer your question?
I think that answers my question. I mean, do you all feel that if we were to adopt this program, would you all be comfortable just using common sense and
to clarify a little bit more, I'll use this Thanksgiving as an example. We're going to do Thursdays and Fridays run Monday. Okay, so they're going to get their pickup that week. Plus, they're going to get a second pickup the same week on Thursday and Friday on the regular schedule.
Right.
So if they have overflow, they can put it out there Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
Those two pickups in 1 week.
In 1 week. So I don't know if that helps clarify. For the most part, that's the way it works out every holiday.
Right. I just hate for someone to get fined for that. If maybe just as staff, just maybe make note of it and realize that there are holidays that happen, as long as they're not constantly making extra trash a habit in their yard. Maybe that's something we have to talk to the inspector about.
Okay,
that's fair. I'll agree with that for the record.
Okay, good. Now, Mr. Wilder, you had your hand up to follow Commissioner Head. Anything else you want to add?
Is that address here?
That addresses that concern, maybe there's other things I can say too.
I was just gonna offer some general comments. See if we-
Okay. All right, any other comment from the Commissioner?
I'll make my general comments. Pardon? I guess I will make my general
All
comments.
right, go ahead.
I mean, for me, this is really about the bottom line at the end of the day. And we've seen pretty solid numbers that show that the flat fee charges the public about $600,000 a year, and that show that the pay-pro fee would charge the public about $300,000 a year. And as far as I'm concerned, that's reason enough